welcome back to the Babel Boys podcast. Joined as always with Jeff. Jeff, how we doing?
Doing great, man. How are you?
Not bad. So, Jeff, did you know that the government has an internet kill switch?
You don't say. Is it like the nuclear code or something? How do they just flick a switch?
So it would seem that they have the ability to completely take over sole power of the internet or shut it down in its entirety.
It's interesting because I know that the dark web is owned by the federal government. Well, not the dark web, but the Tor browser.
So the internet itself was created by the government.
Yeah, yeah. But that they used the dark web to push out classified information, if I'm not mistaken.
Indeed, they did. Yes, that is correct. So we have an article here from Reason.com.
I love Reason.com.
So do I. So it goes on. Civil libertarians on both sides of the aisle and in both chambers of Congress have joined forces to call for canceling a little known executive power to abolish the so-called internet kill switch, a sweeping emergency executive authority over communications technology that predates World War II. No president from either party should have the sole power to shut down or take control of the internet or any of our communication channels during an emergency, Rand Paul argued in a statement announcing the Unplug the Internet Kill Switch Act. The bill aims to revoke Section 706 of the Communications Act of 1934. When that law was passed, there was no internet. But the broad language included in the Section 706 means that it could be invoked today to give a president nearly unchallenged authority to restrict access to the internet, conduct email surveillance, control computer systems, and cell phones, Tulsi Gabbard explained in her statement on the bill. It's even worse than that, as Michael Sokolow wrote in Reason last year. The law is so broad that it effectively gives the president the ability to commandeer any electric device that emits radio frequency transmissions. These days, Sokolow noted, that includes everything from your implanted heart device to the blow dryer for your hair. It includes your electric exercise equipment, any smart device, such as a washing machine, and your laptop, basically everything in your house that has electricity running through it. So it literally gives the president the ability to commandeer, everything.
Yeah, everything.
Literally everything.
The likelihood of it's slim, but you can never be too careful, I guess. That's like when people are like, they used to make fun of, tinfoil hat conspiracy theorists until they actually realized that Samsung TVs were actually listening to you.
Yeah, right.
Like it was a real thing.
Yeah, everyone touts you as a tinfoil hatter until what you're saying actually comes true. And when you say the government's spying on you, and then you come to find out the government is actually spying on you, then things like this become a pretty big deal, right?
Yeah, that's what we should do. We should do a segment on every conspiracy theory ever that's came true, from UFOs to being spied on by Big Brother. We should just do them all.
We should, and I feel like we would probably come out over even, right?
Oh yeah.
Definitely. So, since the United States is technically engaged in 35 ongoing national emergencies, thanks in large part to an executive branch that has stripped those words of their meaning, we should probably be grateful that President Donald Trump hasn't yet reached for this power. He's already invoked Cold War era laws to impose greater executive control over global commerce in the name of national security, and has declared illegal immigration to be a national emergency as a political maneuver to redirect funding for a border wall. Like many presidents before him, Trump seems willing to use whatever powers Congress has foolishly granted to the executive branch to the fullest extent. Congress should claw back what it can. With so many Americans relying on the internet to do everything from online banking to telehealth to education, it's essential that the federal law reflect today's digital world, not the analog world of World War II. And, that does make sense. Everything that we do is on the internet.
Everything.
And Trump's not the first president to grab power through executive action, right? They've been doing that since the inception of our federal government.
Yeah, George Washington had an executive order.
So we go on. How much of the federal government could actually do to shut down the internet remains a subject of debate. The very nature of the net, a diffused network of interconnected computers and servers, makes it virtually impossible for the government to flip a literal on and off switch or push a stereotypical big red button to cut off all Americans, obviously. But the government but the Department of Homeland Security does have protocols for shutting down wireless networks during an emergency, which the agency argues could be used to stop a terrorist from detonating a remote bomb, given that authoritarian leaders in other countries have shut down wide swaths of internet access during periods of unrest. It's not unfathomable that something similar could happen here. And again, they do have protocols for shutting down wireless networks during an emergency, which the agency argues could be used to stop a terrorist from detonating a remote bomb. We have to monitor your phone calls and your emails and your internet access to monitor for terrorism. We've heard this before, right?
You know why the terrorists won? Because they stripped our freedoms away in the name of terrorism. They won.
Yeah, it's a deep statement.
I mean, it's true though, because
Yeah.
when you got the NSA, they spy on you in a ton of different ways. I mean, what's a warrant anymore? I mean, and people, I hate it when they're like, well, if you have nothing to hide, don't worry about it. That's not the fact. Fact of the matter is, stay out of my stuff, bro.
Yeah, I
It's,
mean, I've heard that argument. I had a debate class in college, and so it was a debate class around IT subjects. It was an IT class, an elective, and one of the debates was about your internet privacy, and so we had to counter the debate topic, which would be that it's unlawful to spy on you, right? So our exact argument was exactly what you just said. If you have nothing to hide, then why do you care when people look through your internet traffic, your emails,
yeah. I
and
mean,
such?
it also stems from the Constitution. That I have a right to privacy. So to be secure in my papers, and quite frankly, the internet wasn't around when that was written, just as assault rifles weren't around. But the Constitution being a fluid document, it still protects it, in my interpretation.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense to me, but I mean that's a slippery slope. You could also say that about any firearm.
I mean, well, yeah, and I would say that it does say shall not infringe.
Yeah,
I'm not against owning an assault. I mean, a fully automatic rifle, because you still can. You just have to pay a $10,000 stamp to the federal government to get it.
really?
Yeah.
So that's in states where it's legal to
Well,
own
that's
one.
what states where it's legal. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Just like a suppressor is legal, but you got to pay a stamp to get it. I would argue that's it's pretty cruel, because if somebody breaks into my house and I don't have a suppressor on the end of my 9mm and I shoot them and my eardrums pop out, that could have been avoided.
Yeah, and it's wild how effective the government is at leeching all of the money that they can get from you. Any way, in
Anyway,
any way that
fishing,
they can think about it. If yeah,
hunting,
literally fishing,
driving a
hunting,
car.
survival. You got
When
to
you
have a
die, they
license.
tax you when you're dead.
They do. They tax you when you're fucking dead. It never ends.
Yeah,
It never
like,
ends. And
pay your fair share.
exactly. And I don't think that they're gonna succeed in getting this bill passed.
People
They
are probably going to
may.
look at them and be like, this is never going to be used. But like,
Exactly.
Rand Paul and Tulsi, I wish they were married because they'd be a power couple. Um,
Yeah.
you know, they're just predicting, I mean, they're just saying, well, we're going to prevent this just in case. Because what if that day comes?
I have a very strong feeling that that day will 100%
We
come.
just try to ban TikTok. Of course it's going to come. I mean, I don't give
Well,
a shit about TikTok, but
TikTok, the reason for banning it though is
the back doors.
yeah, a lot of the data was being sent back to China.
Yeah, I mean, China's, they're a bunch of shitheads, but um,
I
I'm just
mean,
saying.
there is no real way for the government to completely stop all internet access, right? I mean, it's
No, I can, like, what was that game? What was that game that you want? Flappy Birds? You know what I'm talking about? That they banned.
who banned Flappy Bird?
It's you can't like I don't know, Apple or somebody banned Flappy Birds. But like I saw on eBay, like it was like a phone and it still had Flappy Birds on it, and it was selling for like a couple $1,000.
Oh my goodness.
Flappy Birds, man. No,
Yeah.
I mean, but it's interesting to at least acknowledge the possibility or the powers that the government has,
Hmm.
to dictate something like that. And I mean, and at the end of the day, I'm I like to be I want to be left alone. Help me if I need help, but
Hmm.
don't overstep it, because if even if you think about it, if the government gets so big and controlling to where they can mitigate every little aspect of your life, then overall they're probably not very efficient at doing the things that they actually need to do, because there's too many different branches and bureaucracy spread out.
Yeah, I mean, I would argue that that's where they're at the moment.
Yeah, I know, absolutely, without a question,
Hmm.
without a question.
Yeah, I mean, their powers are just going to keep growing, and to me, it doesn't matter which party's in office. I mean,
No,
it's a power grab in itself. The two parties, that's all they're doing is
they're
trying to
fighting for
grab
power.
more
Yeah,
power. Exactly,
they're
and it's
jousting
just
for
gonna
power.
it's just gonna keep escalating.
Absolutely. It's every election it's going to be the same thing. You're going to get on the TV, you're going to watch usually two great spokesmen speak, not this time though, but usually that's
Yeah.
how it's going to be. And they're going to promise you a bunch of stuff that they don't even have the authority to promise you, and
Hmm.
it's just going to be the same thing over and over again. I mean, it's manipulation. You're being duped. It's never going to stop because people want that satisfaction of being right. Like, well, the
Hmm.
guy I rooted for, he won, and he's going to make it better. No.
Yeah, he's gonna make America great again, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly what's going to happen. Or according to the left, he's going to make women in the kitchen great again. I mean,
Well,
it's silly.
that's our segment for tonight. If you don't want your internet to be cut off, be sure to like, subscribe, and share our video.
We'll let you know when
Yeah.
it's coming.
And until next time, Jeff, see you in the next one.
See you, brother.